Welcome back to another episode of the Stock Runner Podcast. I'm your host, William. Always here with your co-host, I-Man.
How dare you do that? How dare you stomp on our brand like that, dude?
And on the sticks, we got TJ.
Hello.
All right, dude, we're back talking about stocks again.
Are we? Yes.
Kind of.
I guess we just did, right? We just made a video about... I don't even know what kind of video we just made, actually. It's kind of weird. It's kind of surreal doing like a... here's the stocks you need to buy. It fucking feels weird. Feels like
it's like we're betraying ourselves.
No, it just doesn't feel like we're qualified to even like actually say anything in the equities.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I think we are probably more qualified than we think.
Well, we've newly been qualified and like naturally selected to be like talking heads, at least in this specific niche vector of the stock market. Right? We're not going to go out there and tell you
fusion companies and
what are some other
like biotechs.
What are the closest biotech companies to their FDA approvals?
Right.
That's not us, dude. But we could tell you about some companies that know what they're doing in relation to crypto.
Yeah,
right?
2,300% gains. I think people want to know about it, right?
You talking about Bitmine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. Like, we were dabbling when we were discovering like Ethereum is now injecting itself into this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing very well. It's obviously it's just starting. It doesn't have like the proven history, a track record of a micro strategy, but nothing does, right?
No.
Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy stand in like a universe of their own.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Saylor was perfectly positioned. I mean, I think it was 2013, he had a tweet where he was just like dumping on Bitcoin like it was some
2013?
Scam. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a recent interview. I think it might have been the Jordan Peterson one or something where he talked about like, he thought like everybody, right? Somebody told him about Bitcoin. He's like, you mean that like terrorist money thing? But he was explaining how like his rationale of how he arrived to the thesis that he needs to essentially like port all of his capital wealth into Bitcoin. It was like around the time of COVID, right?
Yes.
Or something like that where...
Well, I think there was in consideration so much money printing. It was like... He realized like we can't keep doing this. Is there something else that I can like store my wealth in? Yeah,
my hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah,
because essentially he had the awakening, right? The eye opener. People like you probably had when you like watched Zeitgeist in like 2008,
2007, dude.
2007.
Yes.
But it was that second movie where he really broke down like how money works, right?
It was the second movie, yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that. I was like a wee little lad, dude. I had no idea what
I was like, "Hey, man, you got to watch this.
Here's this CD. Put it in your fucking PlayStation 1 or whatever, dude. Yeah. Like, let it rip and, come back to me after you're done crying in a fetal position because it completely erodes your perception of reality."
Yeah. So what did you think when you first saw it? I mean, it was
basically that, dude. I was terrified. I was like, what? What do you mean God's not real? What do you mean 9/11 was a hoax?
Right.
What do you mean like everything is a lie? And like
money's not real.
Yeah, dude. Fuck. Well, how was I supposed to handle that at like 13, dude? Like, that's too much weight for me, dude. I was freaking the fuck out.
I was trying to prepare you for the future, dude.
Well, it probably did, like mentally wise, or it probably converted me into a skeptic right away. In general, in like a generalized consequence of like going down these like rabbit hole paths at a young age is like I want to know more. First of all, I want to figure out like what else is a fugazi out there, right? There's a lot of shit, and it just you're going to school and stuff. That's probably why I started like flunking out of everything, right? It's like I just stopped caring about school. It's like, dude, this is bullshit too. I was like, before that I was making like straight A's. I was fully in line, dude. I was the perfect cog, dude. And then everything just went awry.
Yeah, man. It actually changed my life too in ways where I was like, because I was taking the blue pill hard. I was like, man, I'm going to get my college degree. I'm going to get my job and, finally get my place. And
that's right.
Yeah,
get your IKEA catalog, the whole damn shebang, right?
Yeah. And then as soon as I watched it, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like I felt like, shit didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of proved it. It's like the money's fake.
Yeah.
The fiat system is rigged.
Yep.
Like everything was just a setup.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And it's been like that for like 100 years.
Yeah, because it's per design, right? You've got to keep this herd.
Yeah, herding.
This cattle, whatever. This horde. What do you call it? This,
like Walking Dead.
Whatever, dude. You got to keep us in the fences, dude. You can't let us like wander out.
Yeah.
There's too much detrimental potential to that. So they created a perfect system. Of course, we didn't know. We were just like birthed into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you start to like discover these things, and I don't know, like your natural inclination is to kind of like be like a little bit bothered by that. You start to question whether or not you like really want to like participate. It's like, dude, do I really want to be controlled and like to the maximum order just so like, the system can maintain itself? And then you start like smoking weed and stuff. Then that's when things really get crazy.
Right? Yeah.
So it can snowball into many different directions, right?
That movie was the literal equivalent of taking the red pill, like literally.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because when you're growing up, you're not questioning money. It's just things cost money and just is like that.
Yeah, but see, the end result is we've lived in a perpetual state of like existential despair, dude.
Yeah.
I would rather have the blue pill again.
Well, yeah.
Red pill state sucks, dude. You're like always like too aware, hyper aware of like how things actually are, and like
you talk to
depressing.
The people around you who are all still taking the blue pill, and they're just like
perfectly
fine.
happy being herded.
It's like, yeah, man, milk is a little bit more expensive, but what are you gonna do about it? It's like,
fuck it, dude.
That's it.
Yeah. I got the VMAs are this weekend, I'm chilling, dude. What's wrong? What are you bitching about? What's your fucking problem, dude? Why are you so serious all the time? Or like, how come every time I come to your house, you're preaching to me about Bitcoin, dude? What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? It's like, why are you trying to escape?
Yeah, all of a sudden, everybody stopped showing up to come to your house.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not going over there to hear
crazy Bitcoin guy, dude. It's like, that's not fun. You don't want to be around that guy. You want to be around the guy doesn't give a fuck that the sky is falling, right? We're here to like party anyways.
Right. But then all of a sudden, once Bitcoin hits 100K, you get those text messages. It's like, you told me about that like 8 years ago, but now I'm paying attention.
Yeah, when shit hits the fan, they're all knocking on your bunker door, right?
Right.
It's like, let me in, dude. Let me in. And you're like, sorry, I tried to warn you guys, right? What are you gonna do actually when you're in your bunker? Shit hits the fan. What are you gonna tell those people?
That's a great question. I think that event will happen at some point.
Well, first you need a bunker.
Like not maybe not physically, but metaphorically.
So the metaphorical scenario here is like when the dollar actually is fully collapsing and like people become aware.
Yeah, all of a sudden Bitcoin's worth like infinity dollars.
I don't know about that. Infinity dollars, dude. Holy shit.
I mean, everything is priced in Bitcoin, right? So it's like...
Yeah. Well, whatever that scenario, that hypothetical is, the fallout of that, the thesis of Bitcoin, why it needed to exist in the first place and why it's like in today's current state of macro affairs, it's like working. Yeah. Like there's a universal consensus being achieved as far as like, we see what's happening with the dollar and like this escape fiat system that's like bleeding, and people are becoming painfully aware that it's like not sustainable. Michael Saylor included, and now he's created like not just he's perpetuating like very strong belief and conviction now because it's not just words, right? It's not just like a gospel.
Yeah,
it's like a winning strategy now. It's like a blueprint to become significantly wealthy. So now people start to pay attention. It's like, it's not dogma alone, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's the new big thing, right? Now people are like buying in actually, right?
Yeah. People are just inherently becoming aware. I mean, just on average, just because we've had the internet for about 30 years now, I think on average, people are just getting smarter on average. Like there's still a ton of dumb people not paying attention. But on average, they do feel like things are getting more expensive, like unusually, like at a rate that's like you can perceive the change. Like last year, groceries on average were about $150. This year, they're on average $250. It's
Damn.
like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Something's wrong, right? And so
Correct.
people are becoming aware. And yeah, now this institutionalization of Bitcoin and then pretty soon Ethereum, like now the traditional finance industry is now adopting cryptocurrency in ways that we sort of expected and predicted, but it's always amazing to see that it's actually happening.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always the spectacle to behold. And, when it's happening in real time, it doesn't like feel, I don't know, it's hard to like really get a grip on like the magnitude of like what's happening.
It is, I guess. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like
always easier to like look back.
Yeah.
Right?
I was going to say like it's when Pearl Harbor happened, World War II happened, you don't necessarily know that you're like in the middle of a world war. I mean, they talk about it, but you don't really know until you look back on it. It's like, holy shit, a ton of people died.
Yeah. Yeah. I was looking into that recently. Like, Russia and Ukraine are still at it, right?
Yeah.
It's 3 years now. They're still at war. And then, then there's the conflict in the Middle East and stuff. So it's like people are saying we're like in the midst of a world war, the stage of where we're at.
Yeah.
Unknown. But then it's like, okay, let's do like some data comparisons to the previous World War, right? And then you start to look at like casualty rates among nations during the last World War, and it's like insane compared to what we're experiencing today. Like so far, I think Russia has lost in total has like 1 million casualties.
Yeah.
So maybe like a third of that is actually like deaths, the rest are like injuries or something like that.
Right.
But during World War II, it was 27 million.
Holy shit.
27 million casualties for Russia. And like every other country, like, Germany had like 6 or 7 million.
Yeah.
Austria, like 3 million. It's like the United States was like 600,000 or something. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, So
yeah, even today, 1 million people, that seems like a lot.
Absolutely.
I feel like the real world war won't necessarily have like high millions of casualties. I think there's going to be very specific destruction just because we have drones.
Technology's better.
Yeah, technology's better. Like
it could be more strategic for sure. Like you just target like
we just destroyed Iran's nuclear stock.
That's true.
Enrichment facility
with like a carpet bomb.
Yeah.
Or a bunker buster.
Bunker buster, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the movie what's it called? The one with Tom Cruise?
Top Gun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where in the movie they just dropped these bombs through these like air vents and it just kind of blew up their facility.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot better than, if there was like a target like that was the objective of like a conflict, right? Like that's the battlefield mission is to get to that underground bunker that's housing all these, devastating devices. We need to destroy that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pre-modern day technology era, you'd have to like literally pillage your way through an entire nation just to get to that thing. And then, the end result of that is millions of casualties.
That's right.
And then you're there, blow the damn thing up, nation surrenders.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like now we could just $2 billion.
Yeah.
A few of those fucking B2 like Eagles or whatever they're called. And you're done, dude. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I agree.
That is a very good spend of $2 billion, I would say.
I would say so, yeah. Prevent a nuclear fallout.
Yeah, and like you need minimal casualties. Like, it's pretty good.
I think it was like 0 casualties.
Yeah, because they gave like, Iran time to like skedaddle. Let's get out of there, fellas.
Yeah. Not only that, they left. U.S. bombed them, and then they sent a few missiles to a few U.S. air bases. Told everybody in those bases to leave.
Yeah.
Nothing barely anything got destroyed.
It's like
I wouldn't come to work tomorrow.
That's what they said. Yeah. This is like the most polite war I've ever seen.
Right.
It's like they're actually just like playing like gentleman checkers out there, gentleman chess.
Yeah.
It's very nice for now.
I guess they're trying to save face for their own like population.
Propaganda, right?
Yeah, propaganda. It's like
just strike together another montage of like the missiles launching.
Yeah.
Put some background music. And it's like we'll never stop fighting, shit like that.
Right.
It's like we stand strong, united against the oppressors, right? Yeah, shit like that, right? I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, now the traditional industry is adopting crypto.
Back to the original question. So what are you gonna do? And
yes,
they're knocking at your bunker door, and he's like, you've been telling everyone for so long.
That's such a good question. It's like a game theory question because you could let them in and do the right thing. You could, but there's a consequence in doing that. It's like your reserves are now at stake.
Yeah.
Right. Their rate of consumption is significantly higher.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge. Is like, well, what do you do? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a question of. So you're actually like talking like for real, right?
Well,
like,
yeah, now physically, yeah, but even metaphorically, or even financially, what do you do?
Yeah. Okay, it's a question of like your actual love for these people. I think that's the real. If you actually truly love your family, and friends, all the people who you've been like trying to red pill this whole time, right?
Sure.
It's like you've been. What is the effort of attempting to red pill? Is it because you genuinely care for these people's futures?
Sure. Yeah.
Or is it more like you just want them to know that you're correct and that they're wrong? Like, what is?
No. I red pill them because I genuinely care, and not only that, we just happen to be alive in the most unique position in history.
Mm-hmm.
Like this wealth transition that we're going through. This is what it looks like, right? This is what it looks like. And most people aren't paying attention. And yeah, the future isn't evenly distributed, but we know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our responsibility to tell our family is like, hey, you need to pay attention to this stuff. Well, yet they don't.
It's our responsibility, you said?
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like a superhero mentality. It's like you've been bestowed with some sort of superpower.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's like you could choose to fuck it off and like not save anybody, or you could you've got to try.
Yeah, because look, the consequences extend generations. That's why this is such a big deal. Like, for example, we've had generations who were struggling and they came to the United States, right? Our families.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't have the ability to pay attention to what's going on, right? There was an inflection point called the microprocessor. And that spawned technology, that spawned computers, the internet.
Yeah.
It's like if they had paid attention to what understanding what a microprocessor was, they would have bought Apple and Amazon and all these technologies that have impacted the current day trajectory of technology.
Right.
Had they been paying attention. Now, we've been paying attention to crypto, right, pretty early on.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew what this was going to turn into. We knew that it was going to turn into what it's turning into now. Mm-hmm. We knew it.
Yeah.
And so even in the early days, I've been telling my families, like, you got to pay attention. And no matter how much you explain Bitcoin, they just will never get it. It's like you do need an inherent understanding of cryptography to really understand why Bitcoin's important, why it is a different asset. And you could just never explain it enough to anybody.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality, right? I mean, we've all been at it this long, and it just seems like an unbreakable wall at this point.
Yeah,
but still, okay.
But so now we've spent a decade trying to explain to family. Very few of them actually listened, and then now they're at your bunker door.
Right.
Then what?
Yeah. So does the responsibility extend in this scenario? It's like, okay, I tried to equip you guys with my powers, right? Long before the big bad villain shows up.
Yeah.
Right? Before Thor is here.
Yeah.
I was hoping to fight Thor with a legion of, what do you call them, Avengers? Instead, I'm here by my fucking self, dude. I'm the only guy who's here to battle Thor, and you guys. So what do? You save them, right? Or do you let them perish?
No, I feel
fucking guy slam him with his glove or whatever he does, right?
Yeah, Thanos.
I don't know what he does.
Yeah,
what does he do? How does he kill people?
Yeah,
just punches them, right, with his big glove,
or snaps them out of existence. Once he collects all the rocks on his glove.
Yeah, but that was the climax, wasn't it?
Sure, it was.
How was he
with? He had an army. He had a huge army, so
he was more like a delegator.
Yeah.
Okay, that's even better.
Yeah, so I guess ultimately, what do? I guess you have to help, but you got to help with So it's like, here's some help. But man, I told you.
So literally, there's no in between though. It's like you got a bunker. You got either let them in or you don't. There's no like, you guys are staying out, but here's some rations.
Set up camp outside.
And good luck, guys. What are you gonna do, man? It's the ultimate question. I think about that too. I mean, I'm nowhere near bunker status, so I'm also camping out, dude. Even with all this knowledge, somehow I ended up in the same positioning, which is insane, shocking to say the least, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's about having conviction in your moves, right? And that conviction comes with understanding a lot of the technology, and in understanding the technology, it's a little bit complex. We're talking about like cryptography. Who the hell wants to know about that?
Yeah.
Right. And not only understanding the cryptography, but like, what does it mean? Right. And so nobody will ever have that conviction to like look into it. So it is tough. And yeah, I mean, like I said, the future is never evenly distributed, but when you know something, it is important for people to act. And then especially if you don't know anything and someone's like trying to help you with something, listen, listen. And I don't know.
I hate that feeling. I don't know. And so I've given up on this a long time ago because I have a family like gathering coming up in a few weeks. Yeah. So by the way, guys, probably won't be recording much during that week. But I haven't had one of these since 2016, 2017.
Okay.
Meaning like where I've seen like a lot of my family that I don't typically see, right?
Yeah, so $1,000 to $100,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, the last time we had this family gathering, I was like 26 years old or whatever, and they were asking me like, what are you up to? And this is like when I first discovered crypto, and I was like telling them, I was like, oh, I'm in this crypto market, and I was like explaining to them, what Bitcoin is and what these altcoins are, what Ethereum is, all this stuff, and then like, oh, like, can you make any money on that? It's like, well, since I've been sitting here like over the last week or so, like this little portfolio app that I have is like 5 to 10x its value. Yeah. Literally as I've been here just like chilling with you guys. And then even still, they're like kind of like mocking me, but not like full blown mocking me. Just like, that throwing that subtle shade. It's like, oh, you're just a stupid kid. This is all like internet terrorist money. It's like we should probably like inform the
CIA.
Yeah, I like it when they're like, good luck getting it out.
Yeah. Exactly. They're throwing all kinds of little shade, but I don't blame them. It's like a little, 26, whatever.
Yeah.
But here we are, like basically 10 years later, 8 years later. I'm anticipating like a round 2 discussion, especially now because like, the picture has changed quite a bit since then.
Yeah, I'm so curious as to what's going to happen because they might not even ask. They'd be like,
that's true.
Yeah, would be this kid was right and I hate myself for it, and I'm just going to ignore it because I don't want to feel wrong.
Well, I think there's one relative who actually did listen to me, so he did buy Bitcoin like in that time, and I'm sure he's happy about it. But yeah, it's not like something they think about even still, even though he bought Bitcoin. It's just like, okay, I bought Bitcoin, it's done well, whatever. It's not really like a significant part of my life.
Sure.
The way it is for us, right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we've just like formed a total identity around this stuff, I guess. Because I don't know, we think it's more than just like some asset you can buy.
Yeah.
And that like helps your livelihood in some way, right? It's not just
like people who do CrossFit, dude. It just becomes them.
That's all they talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure those people are annoying, right? I don't know. So we're probably the annoying ones, but
yeah, but man, CrossFit, like I get why you brought that up, but it's like, something like Bitcoin, it changes the fabric of society. CrossFit does not do that.
A CrossFitter would disagree with you. Entirely.
CrossFit changed my life, right?
Yeah. I mean,
but changing society, like that's such a big deal. This doesn't happen often.
I agree. I mean, I've always had .com envy, growing up.
Yeah, exactly.
I've always heard about like these magical tales of like, the early internet startups and stuff. And maybe that really like rubbed me because I was like a power user of the internet, like early on. I got to saw all the cool mega trends like in real time, and I was like using all this stuff,
Yeah.
So therefore I had like a deep like love for the internet. before I think a lot of people did. You know, it was like,
yeah,
you too, like all of us, right? Like we were like hardcore users.
Yeah, I would say so.
Deep
Yeah,
gamers, all this before like the internet really became like ubiquitously adopted by our species, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I always wanted to know, like, how did this even happen?
Yeah.
You know, and then I looked into the stories of,
Yeah.
you know, these early tech companies, and then it's, yeah, like, damn, I wonder if an opportunity like that will ever come around again.
That's right.
And then it's like, oh, this crypto thing, like,
Yeah.
that has the potential, but it's hard to like always maintain like your conviction and belief in that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, especially during like the downturns of the of this like industry's growth, it doesn't feel like it's gonna like get anywhere, but it always does.
Somehow it always does. Yeah.
Yeah, it always keeps getting bigger and better, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's because of the nature of what this technology proposes for humanity. I think that's why it just doesn't die.
Yeah, like just money, right?
Yeah,
just say that. It just, if you're gonna say one word, it's like, what is internet? Like the one word for the internet, it's like information,
communication, information. Yeah,
yeah. These are very important pillars, right? But like money,
yeah,
there's nothing more foundational.
Literally, the fabric of society.
Yeah, money is pretty important, guys. You know, so if there's a technology that has the potential to disrupt money,
yeah,
you should be paying attention to that, right?
Yeah,
I would think.
That's why I'm so kind of surprised and not surprised how little people are paying attention to this.
Yeah, well, yeah, but, well, to think about money, right? It's like it's such a nebulous idea. Like I don't know, just
yeah.
It's hard. People just have like a surface level understanding of money, right? It's just, yeah, I go work, I make money, I spend money. Like that's about it.
Yeah.
There's no like real depth beyond that. And as far as understanding how the functions of money operate and the reliance and the dependencies on like so many different external factors for like that medium of exchange to like essentially remain stable.
Yeah.
I think most people just assume, you know, this thing is supposed to just always work, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people, they you know, want to focus on their lives and not so much on the money. But, man, it's like everything that we do has to do with money. Like, literally everything. Like, all these little things, all these things, they cost money, dude.
They do.
Everything.
That's right.
And so, like, I don't understand how you can just go and spend money without thinking about the unit that you're using to acquire these assets. Like, how do you just not think about that? How do you drive a combustion engine and not think about like how a combustion engine works? It's like, wouldn't you like to understand that? Like, I feel like you should.
Yeah. And also like, once you form an understanding of it, wouldn't you like to understand like, how to make more of it?
Yes.
Right. So that I can buy more of these little trinkets.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have enough little characters on our table, dude. We need to make more money. Right. So yeah, I mean, that's been our channel's like focus, right? Is having an understanding of what it is that this crypto thing is going to like manifest into, so that we can like, at least me, like personally fulfill my desire to like be part of something like in the way a previous generation had the internet.
Yeah.
And like the technology expansion of, like you're saying, that inflection moment in time.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, we want to be part of something like that too, right?
Yeah.
So we got crypto, now we've got AI. There's so many like interesting things that are going to change humanity forever.
Yeah. Speaking of about something that is not getting paid attention to by family members, it's AI.
Why do you say that?
No, it's just like they're not utilizing it.
Oh.
You know, they're not like, they're just like, oh, it's another thing. It's just like a website.
But what are they supposed to do? You know?
Completely change their day-to-day operations. Completely.
But how?
In
They're not over there cooking apps, dude, like the way you are. It's like, what do they need AI for? It's like so they can like cook dinner better or what?
Yeah, that would be a start.
YouTube's good for that, you know.
Yeah, but AI could give you your macros, for example. Start planning out your meal preps. It'll do it all for you. Like you have to cook it, but it'll tell you what you need to do.
Damn.
And how much to put in each tray and like weigh everything, and it does it all.
Yeah. I mean, that's like.
Yeah, I know that's a sort of like a throwaway function of AI, but
yeah,
it's just I'm seeing a heavy underutilization of AI across the board.
Yeah, I think it matters on what your day-to-day requirements are, right? Like
it does, yeah.
It's like,
even like if you're going to work and you just have like a traditional job, figure out ways to leverage AI to make your job faster, easier, just for your own, something to do,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's too much. That's like the same thing as like expecting like form your understanding of money so that you can not miss.
Yeah, miss the boat.
Not miss Bitcoin, essentially.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, dude. But still, nonetheless, so we found our vector, it's crypto. Finally, sentiment is improving. Macro conditions are aligned. Seems like we're in store for a pretty interesting year, or I would say.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's starting to look like, this cycle is it's not mimicking what we were expecting of it, right?
Yeah. I think there's the surprise factor here is, the United States is adopting cryptocurrency and regulating it and all that stuff. But what's surprising is the rate of Bitcoin treasury companies forming.
Yeah.
First, and then I guess naturally, because we're veterans in the crypto space, we assumed that Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies would also be leveraged for treasuries from other companies as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's happening with Joe Lubin and Tom Lee. And we're starting to see even like smaller cap cryptocurrencies get formed treasuries too.
Even Dog, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Runes community. There's a Dog, the Rune Dog. I don't know, some random company just added some percentage of Dog to their balance sheet, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty weird.
That is weird.
It won't be long before we see Fartcoin and Pepe and
And
then what does that mean though?
You short those to hell.
Short them all?
Short them all to hell.
I don't know. I don't know if you short them right away.
Well,
I think
you buy them, but you short them
eventually,
quickly.
I don't know. That's the big question mark. It's like trying to pinpoint
no.
What stage of
So you're saying this time is different.
This time No. I'm saying this time it's not different.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you don't just short a mania like from the rip.
You don't. But you still
participate.
Yeah,
first.
but that's what shorting means is you're participating, but you're not going long on them.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
If there's anything, it's like crypto or altcoins. Like go long on Bitcoin,
yes,
or Ethereum, and that's it.
Yes.
Everything else, oh shit, NFTs, they're popping. That's a new thing. But you buy.
Yeah.
You figure out which of these NFTs are like hot. They have a creator or an artist like a Beeple, right? Somebody who's very notable, very popular, very influential. You buy his shit.
Yeah.
But you don't hold his shit. You sell it at when you get a 10, 20x, whatever, get out.
Yeah.
So similar, I think, rules will apply. I don't
100%.
think we're at that stage yet.
No.
We're getting there. There's signals of it happening, but it's not like silly yet.
Yeah.
Like, a company that becomes like a meme treasury company, that's pretty fucking silly. But I could see, these SharpLink, BitMine, all these perceivable, like responsibly managed crypto treasury companies have to do like their 100x multiples.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In order for the market to kind of get exhausted of that, like, a little bit of like a more mature demographic category. And then for them to like, I guess, onboard more retail speculative fervor for like the silly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then that's when things really get out of hand. And that's your signal to essentially, start exiting.
Yeah. So the same psychological expectations that happen in crypto are going to be happening in this like small niche in the stock space.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's my prediction, right? I mean, whether or not it'll come true, that's why we're here, right? So check in every single week just to, see if those trajectories maintain.
Yeah, so we're looking at a list here, starting from 2017, and we experienced this whole thing.
Yeah, this is a good representation of kind of what we're talking about. These are the boom and bust narratives of basically every year since we've been paying attention to this market, right?
Yeah.
ICOs is what brought us to the market, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. So it effectively worked. It's like, it started off as like institutional.
We're going to change
activity.
The world with crypto and blockchain.
Right.
It's like, hell yeah, finally.
Yeah. And we're all going to do it. All you simply need is to buy some Ethereum.
Yeah.
And partake in some of these things. And, you secure yourself generational wealth. And that was true for a lot of people.
It was, yeah.
So long as you were short, like you're saying, you didn't like hold these bags for forever, right? If you bought into EOS, like I did, not knowing you should be shorting all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Not like sipping the Kool-Aid too hard.
Right.
You could have made very good gains and then translated that straight back to Bitcoin and just did nothing and chilled.
Yeah.
That was the real play all along.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. And then 2018, blockchain, everything. That's when even public companies were adding the word blockchain to their name, and their stocks were doing 100% over a day. Yeah. And so that was, and that 2018 was like the beginning of like the bear cycle of crypto. And then 2019, that's when we started the podcast. And one of the first things we covered was Libra and Facebook. And we were deep into like understanding money, and like we understood what Libra was in the context of like the financial system. It was not going to work, especially because there was no regulation, and it got shut down pretty quickly by Congress.
Yeah.
And then 2020, we had DeFi yield farming. That was the beginning of the mania. And that's when we were spending a lot of time in Decentraland.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2021, Zuckerberg changed Facebook to Meta.
Yeah.
And elicited a metaverse mania. And then before that was a bunch of NFT stuff. And then 2022 were DAOs. That was kind of a snooze for me.
Not for me. That's always been one of the more interesting, like, experimental vectors, just because of how challenging it is to, like,
You would think that the crypto community would figure out governance way before, traditional governance, but they didn't.
Yeah, I don't know if you would have expected that to actually
work,
be solved like within
a
cycle.
I would have expected it just because it would be faster to iterate. And that's why I would think that it would be figured out to some extent, and I don't think any progress was made. Like any.
Well, the progress was made in the sense like it gave us a very credible data point to suggest like we probably shouldn't be doing this anymore. It's like decentralizing top-down organization models to create anything. It's just that difficult. And we're seeing it in like the major winners of previous cycles, like Bored Apes Yacht Club completely dissolving their own DAO in favor of, a more top-down model that is more conducive for actual growth and progress.
Yes, more efficient.
We're even seeing it in the Ethereum Foundation, like the inceptor of the ideas of DAOs. Like, okay, we need to restructure ourselves to kind of operate like a traditional entity would, so that we can have more control over the direction of this ecosystem. It's like, turns out you cannot just rely on like incentives alone to, create impactful, collaboration.
Yeah,
in a
right,
sense.
right.
So that's important. So why you gotta like aggregate all the reasons why DAOs fail. It's like individual greed. People just want to find vectors to exploit within the DAO for your own benefit.
Yeah.
At the expense of others, and like actual true progress, and then they're using like social manipulation tactics.
Yeah, not only
all
that,
this stuff. Right?
The regulatory body, I think, meant that if you were participating in a DAO, you were like a member of an organization, and you had to like do disclosures and shit, and so that was another thing that kind of killed DAOs too.
Yeah.
But the following year, 2023, ordinals. So we've heard of that.
Yeah. So we were, man, we got a couple bangers here, dude. 2021 and 2023.
Yeah.
We had deep integration into the metaverse NFT ecosystem.
Yeah.
And in the ordinals ecosystem. Meme coins, not so much.
Not so much. No.
That was one of the things we basically faded in favor of ordinals, right? I guess we the thesis was, whatever's happening out there in meme coin land, it's not nearly as important as the idea of Bitcoin
assets,
like hosting some new network value, right?
Yeah.
That, considering the value of Bitcoin itself and the fact that it hasn't successfully been done up until now, seemed like a credible
thesis.
Credible thesis.
Yeah, and because Bitcoin is being adopted from the traditional perspective, I think it still has a even stronger thesis that ordinals aren't going to lose that much value just because they're based in Bitcoin.
You mean like the actual
underlying
spot value of existing ordinals, or you mean like the thesis itself?
Just the thesis itself. I think ordinals have a longer lifespan than traditional, just like generic NFTs.
Yeah, that value proposition still remains strong, right? It's like the immutable storage opportunity of Bitcoin is only getting more powerful over time.
Yeah.
So the utilization of that, I think, it's going to become more relevant over time, right? It's just, can you devise a sensible product for this existing market that really leverages that to its best of its ability? Right?
Yeah.
And still is aligned with what the market actually is demanding, right? The market doesn't want NFTs or ordinals in its current state, right?
No, they don't. And then 2024 meme coins. In 2025, we have Bitcoin treasury companies, which we're experiencing that right now, and it is definitely the biggest thing happening in all of crypto, really.
At least from our lens, it's not like everyone wouldn't agree with that statement yet. I don't think, but
I don't think they're paying attention. That's why.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why. Yeah, it's not as obvious as it's like early day NFTs. In other words, it's like there's enough evidence to suggest this is going to be a really big systemic change, and there's billions, if not trillions of dollars will be made as a result.
Yeah.
But, there's enough signals there that it has the potential to do that, right?
Yeah, and it's something new in the sense that the traditional markets didn't have this kind of exposure before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they're going to pile in.
Yeah.
Just because it's the new thing.
Correct. So this is where we're at today, right? So, I found this tweet and it got me thinking, because I think on the last podcast, was it the last week?
Yeah.
Maybe, where we talked about hey man, we're like, TJ, you just won the championship, right?
That's right,
this weekend. So I was like, what is the crypto's version of a championship? I think that's what this list kind of represents. I was because a champion is once a year, right? There's a new thing.
Yes.
In an industry, if it's a sport, there's a new team that just outperformed everybody else.
Sure. Yeah, so there's a few champions I can think of for ICOs. It was
I mean, to me it's Vitalik.
Right? Vitalik, I would agree.
Vitalik is a champion of 2017, right?
I would say Vitalik and EOS, but but yeah.
Really? But ICOs, the paradigm there of token creation in a sense.
Yeah.
Vitalik was the one who kind of ushered that in. So 2018, blockchain everything, maybe that's EOS.
Yeah. Yeah, because was that 2018? No,
that's when they went live. Right?
Yeah.
But out of all the proponents of let's spin off new blockchains.
Yeah.
Who would you say was the biggest winner out of that?
EOS for sure.
Yeah. So that year was Dan Larimer.
And 2019.
Yeah, that one's a little weird.
Yeah, this was deep bear market stuff. 2020.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's Libra, Facebook. They failed, right?
They failed. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. It's
it's the meta of 2019. I don't think there was a meta, but this is very narrow.
I mean, there really was nothing going on.
There was nothing.
There were things.
We started the podcast then, so we mainly talked about Bitcoin a lot of the times.
We were going through all the different individual altcoins.
Yeah.
To try and see what they're up to, or any of these have any potential. And that's what we found. There was a lot of DeFi being worked on at that time, but none of it was actually tokenized.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's why it wasn't obvious that DeFi was going to be a big winner until the genesis of governance tokenization of DeFi protocols, and it's like explosion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. 2019 winner. Probably just fucking Vitalik again, dude. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Still winning.
2020, we got Uniswap.
Yeah.
Uniswap had to be
Adam.
Yeah, Adam, and I would say the food tokens. What's the big one? I heard that PancakeSwap did $500 billion so far in volume.
What do you mean?
This year.
This year?
Yeah.
You said PancakeSwap?
PancakeSwap.
Oh, that's the DEX on Binance, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Binance has got to be the winner in all these, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Where's Binance fit in all this? I mean, maybe Binance is the 2019.
2019, yeah.
Just because it's like Binance just kept creeping and growing, and yeah, whatever. You got to throw CZ in their mix somewhere. CZ belongs there somewhere.
2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2020 is like yield farming. I think the Sushi Swap, that's the one that I was thinking about. I don't know why I think about that when I think of yield farming, but yeah. 2021 Metaverse.
Okay, hold on.
Sandbox and Decentraland, obviously.
Hayden Adams, sorry, I was just
yeah.
That's the champion for DeFi, ushering in, automated market making in DeFi. So yeah, Metaverse NFT. Yuga Labs, right? Yuga Labs was a champion.
Yeah, was it 20? Yeah,
absolutely, dude. They fucking
$500 million worth of land.
They crushed. Yeah. They crushed it on Bored Apes and on the other side. They completely captured the entire industry that year.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
it's Yuga Labs, maybe Dapper Labs too, because they put forth the NFT standard. They did very well with Top Shots and such. So it's like a Dapper Labs, Yuga Labs, co-championship.
Yeah, right.
DAOs.
Every time I think of DAOs, I think of Constitution DAO, where they almost bought the Constitution.
Yeah?
Yeah. But I don't know if they won that.
Shit, I would add Bored Apes here also because of their, then they, released, a fungible token around this time and created a DAO around that. Damn, Yuga Labs
champs. Back-to-back champs, dude?
Maybe. Dude, Yuga Labs was cooking during 2021, 2022 era. Insane, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
And then Ordinals, that's Casey, right? He literally was named Man of the Year. Remember? Remember that? Fucking Casey Rodimer.
Yeah.
Man of the Year, crypto Man of the Year. I forgot who published that.
Yeah.
But that was a real thing.
Yeah.
Because that was an exciting time, dude. Keeping track of Ordinals during its inception point. I was like, wow, this has a tremendous amount of potential.
Yeah, not only that, Ordinals became a pandemic. Inscriptions happen to be on every single chain. Mm-hmm. It's just that, putting it on Bitcoin was way more valuable.
Yeah, I'm we had some multi-billion-dollar runners with Ordi, and this is the heat of this is the 2019 equivalent of this cycle. Where
That's true.
In 2019, you couldn't really finger point anything that was really successful, but in this time, Ordinals had some actual success with VRC20 tokens entering into the billions.
Yeah.
Some of these major blue chip collections, giving you 10,000x opportunities, NAT, CAT, and DMT included.
That's right.
We had the birth of Bitmap and NAT and all these interesting new verticals, but
yeah. Now, no more inscriptions are being done. No one is actually using Bitcoin, by the way.
Yeah.
The mempool is completely empty.
Correct.
Yeah, we have a $2 trillion asset. It's being bought by multiple companies. Soon it's going to be bought by the United States, and yet there will be 0 transactions on the network.
Sheesh.
All right, so we got Ordinals, and then meme coins. We know who the winner of that is.
Elon.
That's right. Elon with Pumped Out Fun.
Man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, absolutely crushed it, right? Maybe the Bonk guy is also up there, kind of kind of kickstarting the fervor for, after Pepe's launch. Pepe, I think, was during 2023. That was an Ethereum phenomenon. Then all these other meme coins on Solana created these cult-like communities around it. And then Elon steps in, sees the appetite, the demand for that, and just launches the most perfect product that is
in the history of crypto.
Perfectly aligned for that present market demand, right? And that's what it's all about. That is the introduction of an actual killer crypto app, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And finally, 2025, Bitcoin treasury companies, the only winner is Michael Saylor, even though he started in 2020.
Yeah, he's going to be the champion of this year.
He's going to be the champion of the planet. Like for decades.
I don't know, dude. I think Donald Trump might like.
No way. Well,
yes way, dude.
Actually, the United States could be the champion of the planet for centuries.
Already are, son.
Back-to-back World War champs, Will.
It's good times, dude. Good times. See, they're gonna get dethroned here. You know what I mean? But yeah, still, Michael Saylor, without a doubt, the champion of champions. He definitely is changing a lot, right?
Yeah.
Perceptions significantly. So
yeah, he's got the best performing stock in the last 5 years. He's outperforming NVIDIA.
That's insane.
Yeah, NVIDIA, is only supplying the computational units for all of AI and the hardware.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So this is it. So let's think back to that question, dude. It's like, man, we really want to win a championship, don't we? What is the likelihood now? Because before we're like, it's like the answer is, how do we win a championship, dude? It's like, oh, we need to impact 1 million people. That was my answer.
Right.
For sure, all these different champions have done that. But it's like, to get DMT on this list, digital matter theory, or who knows what it's going to be labeled as? Is it DMT? Is it NATs under the introduction of non-arbitrary tokens into this like new crypto ecosystem? But can you foresee the possibility of us one day?
Oh, absolutely.
Being on this list.
Yeah. What I don't know is like, what would it be titled as? Like NATs, non-arbitrary tokens, like you were saying, or DMT? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
but that's the goal.
Let's just say it's DMT NATs, whatever. Like there's metaverse NFT, whatever. DMT /NATs. I mean, that is the product that we're kind of really pushing here and have been trying to push since our involvement with ordinals and such.
Yeah, and so the question is like, what? Why? Like, how is that going to make it on the list as well? It's because we're utilizing Bitcoin in a new way.
Yeah, it might be. And we're developing a product that we haven't like fully talked about yet or like demoed or whatever.
Yeah.
Explained our reasoning behind why we think it can fit perfectly beyond this Bitcoin treasury company 2025 mold, like you're saying, because this is where Bitcoin is the front and center, like universal consensus moment around like the fundamental value of crypto.
Yep,
it's Bitcoin.
Yep,
right. So we can extend that into like new value creation models. DMT is like the perfect framework for that.
Yeah, I'll one up you and say the fundamental value isn't of crypto. It's the fundamental value of value. It's Bitcoin. And I think that is a growing consensus out in the traditional space. So Bitcoin is a very big deal. And so if Bitcoin is the unit of account for value, basing a technology or basing a rule set of physical, like a digital physics rule set based off of Bitcoin, kind of a big deal.
Yeah, you would think so, right?
Yeah.
So I think the conditions are right for us to be at least contender for the 2026.
Hey, yeah, I would put us up there.
The 2026 season. I mean, that's the goal, dude. This might sound crazy. I might sound like a delusional, person.
Yeah.
To think that we could ever achieve something like that. So have, put our ideas, our philosophies, our thesis in a category like this. Like, these are our champs, dude.
Yeah.
Like, these are ideas, these are technologies, these are frameworks, these are open source protocols, these are whatever that continued, and they create new narratives, they extend existing value into new verticals of new value creation and potential, and the result of that is the furthering of onboarding new participants, right?
Yeah.
Each year, that's what we're attempting to do, right? So I feel like we got something. I feel like the conditions are just right.
Yeah.
For that thing that we got. It's just a matter of, do we execute properly for it to become systemically recognized? Right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And the thing that we're talking about, we're going to be talking about pretty soon here. Maybe in a few more podcasts, we'll showcase this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. I think what we have is fundamentally going to be important because we're taking advantage of the Bitcoin properties and we're just tokenizing them.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you could spin up new narratives and metas, like you're saying, by creators, and that can take advantage of, the digital physics of Bitcoin. So yeah.
So all you guys who are like, been following us along, you're fellow believers along with us, right? You saw what DMT could do already, from 2023 and onward with the launch of the DMT framework itself, non-arbitrary tokens, NAT, right? The future Bitcoin subsidy, second future Bitcoin subsidy.
Oh, current second subsidy.
Right, but it still needs much more support in order for it to be actualized and realized as such. But still, the fundamentals are there. All these things, right? NatCats, UNATs, all the potential and people who think like this is a really good idea, potentially transformative in our perceptions at a time where like the industry needs it more than ever. Some sort of new spark, right?
Yeah.
NFTs are dead.
Yeah.
We looked at the recent data. It's bleak.
Yeah, $40,000 in volume a day.
That's between all chains.
That's all the chains
all
combined.
Marketplaces. $40,000, dude.
Yeah.
There's a big problem in our industry as far as we're not producing the right kind of value anymore. As we once did, it's just the formula isn't there,
Yeah.
So we got a whole new recipe, and people who had initial taste of this stuff, they agree this is good.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be good for crypto as a whole. It really does extend the value of Bitcoin, and it imbues the rest of our space with those magical properties, right?
Yeah.
That's what DMT does. It's in a very primitive state, and we need to extend it, like I said, much more systemically abroad, methodology.
Yeah, so it's quite the challenge. We're going to have to resurrect the entire NFT ecosystem and bring back creators who were creating back in 2021, but they're going to be creating in a new way, and that's what we've been working on, and I think it's going to work.
Yeah, and if not, we have to lock into that delusional belief, right? In the same way Michael Saylor locked in 2020, had maintained his convictions, I'm going to port all of my worth into this Bitcoin, even though everybody's telling me I'm fucking insane.
Yeah.
Right.
And not only that, I mean, he was porting his net worth as Bitcoin was going down.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what it takes. In order for you to actually make it on this list, you need that psychopathic delusion in your own, in the conviction and the belief that, something should be done completely different than how it's being done today. Right. And in that sense, corporate America they're all doing it wrong. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to prove to them that they're doing it wrong. I'm the sacrificial lamb, potentially, or I'm the Messiah, which he seems pretty Messiah these days, right?
Yeah. You're only delusional until you're right.
Yeah. So I'm happy to be in that position. I don't know about you.
Yeah. That's where we want to stay. I mean, when we got into crypto and we're telling our family, they were looking at us like psychopaths.
I think they still do.
Not really. Not these days. Not anymore.
It's true. It helps a lot that, the United States is buying everyone's bags, right? Or big companies are starting to buy everyone's bags.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to my family meeting here in a few weeks.
Am I.
I'm very curious to see the reaction now.
My prediction in that conversation, I would leave it at this. I don't think anyone's going to bring it up.
Well, for sure they're gonna act it's hey, what have you been up to? What am I supposed to say? Same thing. That thing I was kind of fucking around with. The last time we were all together. It was now it's I'm actually working in that industry. And it's okay, so explain to me the industry.
Yeah, if they start asking deeper questions, that is where I pick the under. I don't think they'll ask more questions.
Oh, I see. So it's that crypto thing that started as a hobby. It's my whole career identity. It's Okay.
Cool.
Oh, Tom. You know, like, you know, there's totally.
What's up with you, Tom?
Yeah, I don't have a Tom in my family, but still, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like just all right, not interesting. Next.
Okay, now if that happens, you should pry and be like, "Did you know?"
No, I'm not gonna pry, dude. No thanks.
No, I feel like you gotta flex a little bit. It's like, did you know the United States is creating a reserve currency for Bitcoin? Did you know that? It's like, what do you think now, Uncle?
So Tom, you know, so Tom, tell me about that barbershop you opened up. You know, Tom, please help me out. Help me out, Tom, dude. I don't want to hear this. Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out, dude.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's it for us. That's been the Stock Runner podcast.
Interesting.
We're rebranding officially. Well, not really.
Yeah, we're definitely not officially, just imaginarily. The stock runners. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and if you find any stocks that you find interesting or cryptocurrency you find interesting, put in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we will catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.